Okay, so this story, it's one of those that sounds completely made up. It's got a hacker, a rock star, an ex-girlfriend, and a cactus. And it's all tied together by this really profound idea called proof of love. We're going to get into how technology and, just raw human emotion can collide in some of the wildest ways.
Right. So that's the big question, isn't it? Why would a famous musician get involved in something like this? The answer? Well, it's not simple. It's a journey that takes us through a pretty traumatic arrest, a tough breakup, and this final, incredible gesture of unrequited love. It's something else.
Every great story has its cast of characters, and this one is no exception. So to figure out what went down on September 1st, 2022, you really need to meet the players involved. So first up, we've got Alberto Daniel Hill. He's a well-known hacker from Uruguay, kind of famous for his anti-establishment views. Then you've got Juan Manuel Moretti, the frontman for the rock band Estelares, known for his really emotional songs. And the person connecting these two very different worlds? That's Evelyn, Alberto's ex, and the reason this whole story even happened. But to really, truly understand why a rock star is even in this story, we have to rewind, way back. We need to talk about the beginning of a relationship, a really traumatic arrest, and, you're not going to believe this, a cactus named Walter. So their story, it started out pretty sweet. She gives him a cactus, a symbol of a new beginning, but then everything just gets completely upended. Alberto is arrested for a computer crime, one he says he didn't commit, and after 8 months of that trauma, the weight of it all just crushed the relationship. Alberto calls what he went through a tyranny of ignorance, which is basically a poetic way of saying the people prosecuting him were, well, clueless about tech. He claims they barely understood what an IP address was, and because of that, the raid on his home got pretty surreal and, honestly, kind of funny in a dark way. And this is where it just goes off the rails. You have to laugh or you'll cry, right? The police confiscated his pet cactus, Walter, because they thought it was dangerous. A paper cutter? They called it a guillotine. And a Guy Fawkes mask from the movie V for Vendetta, to them, that was a terrorist manifesto. For Alberto, losing Walter the cactus became this really painful symbol of the absurdity and the loss of it all. He actually funneled all that pain into an acoustic song for Walter, and he uses this term from the crypto world. He calls the memory of his cactus a Genesis block, the very first block in a blockchain. For him, that tiny, confiscated cactus was the starting point, the anchor for processing this whole insane ordeal. So out of all this absolute chaos, the arrest, the breakup, even losing Walter, Alberto created something totally new. It's this unique philosophical idea he named proof of love. Okay, so to get this, you first need to know about proof of work in the crypto space. It's basically where computers burn a ton of energy to solve a puzzle, and that effort proves something is legit. Alberto takes that concept and just completely flips it on its head for human relationships. His proof of love says, forget computers. The only thing that truly proves a connection was real is going through hell together. So just look at this contrast. It's fascinating. Proof of work is all about code and math problems. Proof of love, that's about courage and vulnerability. One is designed to secure a digital network. The other is about securing the truth of a human memory. It's just a brilliant way to think about things. And here's the beautiful, kind of paradoxical part of his whole idea. When Evelyn finally broke down and just couldn't handle the stress of it all anymore, Alberto didn't see that as her giving up on him. Nope. For him, that was the ultimate validation. The fact that the trauma was so big that it broke her proved just how real and powerful their connection must have been in the first place. So years go by. They've long since broken up. But on Evelyn's birthday, Alberto decides to put this whole proof of love protocol into action, for real. And to do it, he reaches out to the one person he knew she would absolutely listen to. So he'd been talking with Juan Manuel Moretti, the singer of Estelares. Here was the plan. Moretti would act as a digital witness and send Evelyn a private birthday message on audio. Alberto would then publicly mention the gift, not sharing it, just acknowledging it, as a way to document his feelings for her. But the intent here is key. This wasn't some grand gesture to win her back. It was about creating an emotional timestamp to validate a love that was real, even if it was unrequited. And the message itself was just so simple and humble. It's just Manuel Moretti and his band wishing her a happy birthday. A kind, personal, direct message that Alberto helped make happen for her. Now this is really, really important. Alberto has never released that audio. A huge part of the whole thing was his promise to Juan Manuel that this would remain a private gift for Evelyn. Juan asked him not to publish it, and he honored that. It proves this wasn't some stunt for attention. It was a quiet, respectful, and deeply personal gesture.
So, after all that, what does it all mean? Why go to all this trouble for a relationship that ended years ago? Well, for Alberto, it was about taking a memory and turning it into something else. He calls this an effective NFT. Now, don't get hung up on the tech term. The idea is really simple. An NFT is a one-of-a-kind digital thing that can't be copied or changed. This gesture was like that, but for an emotion, a unique, unchangeable emotional token. You can't sell it, you can't trade it. Its only job is to exist forever as a record of a feeling. And that's really the big takeaway here. The gesture was the art. It was an act of emotional resilience. It was a way of taking a really painful memory and instead of trying to forget it, transforming it into something beautiful, something meaningful.
Which leaves us with this really powerful final thought. Can a memory, especially a painful one, be something you intentionally shape into a piece of art? Alberto's story kind of suggests that, yeah, maybe it can. That maybe our deepest feelings don't just have to live inside us. They can be turned into these deliberate, permanent, and maybe even beautiful creations.
Es una tarjeta de felicitación llena de corazones, la felicidad.